Om Shanti. If somebody blocks the sight of something you really want to see, then you refer that person as Nandi, the sacred bull that you see commonly in front of Shivling in all temples. So obviously the Nandi blocks the sight of Shivling. Everybody goes to Shivling to have the sight of God Shiva. So what is the reason that this sacred bull Nandi is used to represent such negative aspect? Do we really consider Nandi as an obstacle to have the vision of God Shiva? Absolutely not. We consider this Nandi to be as holy as God Shiva himself. Actually, we consider it holy to see God Shiva in between the two horns of Nandi. Also, it is common to find in internet the drawings of Nandi with Shivling in the forehead. I don't know what the artist had in his mind when he drew Shivling in the forehead, but that is the fact. Yes, actually this Nandi refers to an old man in whom God Shiva enters in the last 100 years of Kali Yuga. Why did he come? He comes to give the knowledge about the immortal nature of soul and the perishable nature of this body and the world. So this soul that is eternal is sinful now. It is filled with sins like lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. If you are able to become pure by following the teachings of God, then you are eligible to take birth in heaven, which is going to be followed by the destruction of this old world called hell. So God Shiva, who resides in this golden red colored light world called Parandam or the soul world, he enters an old man's body because he doesn't take birth like us from a mother's womb. So he needs a man's body. The reason he takes that particular old man's body is because the soul of that old man was once Lord Krishna, the greatest king of heaven. So Krishna, after taking several rebirths, he becomes an ordinary man. He absolutely forget what he was originally in the beginning. So that is when God enters his body to remind him that he was once Lord Krishna when this world was Satyug, heaven. And not only that, everybody who resided in heaven were called deities whom Hindus worship till date by building temples to them. Though we actually don't consider Nandi to be an obstacle to have the sight of God Shiva in temples, but in reality it is the case. Yes, everybody across the globe is waiting for the God to come to this planet Earth, and he already has. But the real obstacle for them to identify God is Brahma, that old man in whom God enters, because they come up with these thousands of questions like, why did God come in India? Why did God come only in that man's body? Why did he select that body? Like so many questions. And they're asking, no, God is everywhere. How is it possible for him to enter a human being? So now the actual Nandi, which is Brahma, is an obstacle for people to identify the actual God who enters Brahma, to give this knowledge about the eternity of the soul and this world cycle that lasts for 5000 years, which is called a kalpa. So God says this world was heaven in the beginning for the first 2500 years, followed by hell for the last 2500 years. So just before the destruction of this old world, you need to destroy all the vices that was essential for converting heaven into hell. So the vices include lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. And the basis for these vices to enter us is the body consciousness. While we were in heaven, we were soul conscious. We considered ourselves to be the soul that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus have this habit of wearing religious symbols in between the eyebrows. So it is the soul that actually sees through the eyes, listens through the ears, speaks through the mouth, and performs everything with this body. Since we were soul conscious in the beginning, we did not fall for these vices. As a result, we were displaying the true qualities of the soul, which was love, peace, blissfulness, and purity. Since we were filled with these divine qualities, the world itself was heaven, filled with wealth, health, peace, and prosperity. There is absolutely no sign of pain or sorrow in heaven. Even when the child was born, it wouldn't cry as it does now. Not only humans but also animals love each other. That is why it is mentioned in all religious scriptures that cow and lion drink water from the same pond at the same time in heaven. Such beautiful and peaceful and blissful was the heaven which was originally created by God. This world was heaven in the beginning. The reason that it becomes hell is because we slowly develop body conscious. So we gradually lose the true nature of this soul and start developing the false nature out of body consciousness, like lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego, because of which we are causing each other sorrow. So that's how we start committing sins in the hell. Due to the accumulation of sins over several births, we start paying the penalty for those sins in the form of diseases, hatredness, selfishness, natural calamities, and so on. So in order to rescue us from this world of sorrow, the Kali Yuga, God enters this old man's body to make us become soul conscious again. So we need to get rid of body consciousness. So we are originally souls. The only difference is while we were in heaven, this soul was pure. It was not corrupted by any vices. But when it enters hell, it starts getting corrupted gradually, birth after birth. So in order for us to get rid of body consciousness, we need to constantly remind ourselves that we are souls and we are the sons of God Shiva, the Supreme Soul. He resides in the golden red colored light world. So that was our original home as well. So when the world gets destroyed in the end, obviously the soul have to leave the body and reach its abode. So the easiest technique that God teaches us to get rid of this world of sorrow is to constantly consider ourselves to be the souls and to constantly remember God as a point of light as well. In addition, we need to remember heaven. So that is our aim and objective. The reason we become pure is to make us eligible to take birth in heaven and enjoy the health, wealth, peace and blissfulness in heaven for the next 2500 years. Although every single word of God is worth billions, but people cannot make use of it because of that world man, because what they see is the physical body of that world man, and it itself becomes an obstacle for them to identify the God that is within that world man and gives these divine teachings that's going to turn your whole life upside down. If you go to any Brahma Kumaris Raj Yoga meditation center, you will find in the meditation room the picture of that old man called Brahma. And above him you will find a light which they refer as Baba light, a red colored light, which represents God Shiva, who is a point of light. But everybody gets disturbed by the picture of Brahma. So they are ready to accept that God is a point of light, but they can't tolerate the picture of Brahma. Because when they see Brahma, they are bombarded with the thousands of questions like, why he? Why should I see him? Why should I remember him? But it is not to remember him that he was placed there, because not only in Raj Yoga meditation centers, but also in other meditation centers, the meditation techniques created by humans, even they have this method of concentrating on a point. So what's the difference? There's a big difference between how we concentrate on this point of light and how they concentrate on that particular point, because that is a non-living point. But here we don't see it just as a point, we see it as God, a living God. So it is only when you see the photo of Brahma you will constantly be reminded of everything God did through the body of Brahma, because without the body of Brahma he can't do anything. Because as I already mentioned, he doesn't take birth like us. He needs a human body to give these teachings. So it is by listening to this knowledge called Murli, which is available in Raj Yoga meditation centers, as I already mentioned, one can identify God, because none other than God can give these teachings. Nobody has ever said in any religion that we were originally deities whom Hindus worship, and we will become that again by becoming pure. And becoming pure is pretty simple. All you need to do is to constantly remind yourself that you are a point of light that operates this body. You are not this body. Body and soul are different. As much as you spend time in remembering God, so is the impurity that is covering the soul will get removed. So we will be able to conquer those five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. So for that we need to constantly remember God as a point of light, and we need to remember the knowledge given by God in the form of Murli. And the reason the photo of Brahma is placed in the meditation room of Brahma Kumaris Raj Yoga Meditation Center is, although the newcomers see only the body of Brahma, but those who practice Raj Yoga meditation over a certain period of time, they see only God Shiva in him. So they don't see Brahma at all, they don't see body at all. They see only that point of light that is in between the eyebrows of Brahma. If you are unable to see God in the body of Brahma, then how can you see the soul in the body of ordinary human beings? And also, many people, even after becoming Brahmakumars and Brahmakumaris, they have trouble in connecting themselves fully with God Shiva because of the love God gives through the body of Brahma. So they mistake that love for the love of Brahma instead of the love of God Shiva. So even for them, this body of Brahma becomes an obstacle for them to experience the true love of true God. So that is why it is very common here to say someone who interrupts as Nandi. So honestly, Nandi is not an obstacle for us to reach God. Actually, Nandi is the vehicle that carries God to earth. But it is our inability to consider ourselves to be souls and to see the God as a point of light in between the eyebrows of Brahma that forms a real obstacle and not the other way around. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. So please share these videos with your friends and relatives so that they too get enlightened. Thanks for watching.